Support for Walk and Talk Media comes from Metro Food Service Solutions, trusted by kitchens that need storage and workflow that actually does the job. Learn more at metro.com. We wanted to start 2026 by leaning into what this platform has always been about. Real conversations, real craft, and the people doing the work every day. Today's episode is anchored by Chef Michael Calantis, who's here in studio cooking with us. Michael is the chef and owner of Soseki Orlando, a one-Michelin-star restaurant that has earned and retained its star through consistency, discipline, and uncompromising standard. But this conversation isn't about accolades. It's about what it actually takes to sustain that level. The burnout, the rebuilding, the leadership, and the balance between craft, family, faith, and the business behind the food. Today also marks the beginning of something new. Michael is officially joining the Walk and Talk Media family as a reoccurring collaborator and voice as we move forward. Later in the episode, you'll hear from Frederic Casagrande, who's also joining the team to help expand how we tell barbecue and live fire competitions and stories on an international level. But today starts here, in the studio with Michael Calantis, cooking, talking, and sharing the experiences that shaped who he is today. Let's break bread. Chef, welcome to the program. It's 2026, man. You're first guest of the year, and you're going to be here more often. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, man. I'm super excited to come back. We did this a few years ago, and man, it's super excited to be back and what you guys have been doing.
Before we get into, who is Chef Michael Calantis, let's talk about what the hell you did here in this kitchen. It was fire. Today was absolute fire. Beautiful fire, I might add.
Just another day at the office, right? No, we got to play around with some fish. We had some beautiful hirame, or if you're from Florida, we call it flounder, fluke. We got it from Japan. So it's a flat fish, which is an interesting fish to break down. That's why we wanted to bring it in and showcase it's a weird looking fish.
Yeah, anything that has two eyes on the top of the head and still stares at you. That's what we're talking about.
We did two dishes. I wanted to basically do two mirror dishes, one super Japanese, one a little bit more, European inspired. So basically it was potatoes, truffles, and the fluke. So the first dish that was done, I just basically marinated it in kombu. It's called a Kombu-jime. So it's basically where you're using the natural salinity of the actual seaweed, and you're just pressing it between two pieces of seaweed, and it's just drawing out all that moisture and using that natural MSG that comes from kombu. So it imparts that sea flavor, but this type of fish doesn't have much flavor, to be honest. It's a very clean fish, raw. So you want to impart some of that through some kind of curing agent. And, at the restaurant, we've been doing dry aging and different types of preservations with fish for a while. So, and then crispy potatoes that we just thinly sliced. I kind of showcase that very technical way of cutting down potatoes or cutting down vegetables through sheeting it. We call it sheeting it. Salt, togarashi, simple, and that's it, man.
So you're Filipino, and of course you have one of your restaurants is Asian inspired.
Yeah.
But you learned your upscale cooking from a German chef.
Yeah, I think my earliest food memories of being in a professional kitchen was working for Wolfgang. So actually, yeah, he was doing California cuisine, right? Just this mix of everything. So he's famous chinois salad, and then he'll have a schnitzel on the menu and stuff like that.
And it's not to say you didn't know how to cook before, but you were doing your family traditional cook.
Yeah, we're doing Filipino food, and I always joke, I started out at one of the best New York pizzerias in the world, Sbarro's at 16. That's where I cut my teeth, and then went to after culinary school, went to work for Wolfgang for about 4 years, and his chef is still with him, his sushi chef, Chef Fuji-san, and he's over in Spago, Maui, but he trained me, in doing sushi early 2000s. It was like you're not finding fluke and flounder and some of these other crazy ingredients at most Japanese sushi bars in town. So it was it was definitely an experience.
Are both of these dishes on the menu?
Now one, the truffle potato, the fried one, sashimi, that's going on the menu soon. I think we just did like tasting with the team and checking it out, and my one of my assistant chef for the day was Kaden, and he came from Sushi Saint, so kind of seeing the dish like how I would make it so you could replicate it, which was good. And then the other one was literally spur of the moment. I said, how are we going to just utilize the same ingredients for cost reasons, but really just to like showcase that, and then this idea of Mottainai, which means not to waste anything. So how do we utilize the bones and all of the other parts of the fish that usually get thrown away?
How does a Michelin restaurant choose a new dish?
It's really inspiration, right? Inspiration, collaboration. When we're coming up with new dishes, one, we always want it to be seasonal and what we can, get on the regular. It really just comes down to, we always draw from our experiences, but then it's just inspiration, what you see in the book, what you see from other chefs, or, something, crazy combinations of flavor profiles, right? So I think that's why being a chef is so great, is it really is that there's something so personal about going to a restaurant and trying someone's food.
Well, let's talk about discipline. When people hear James Beard or Michelin-star, they're usually thinking about, the recognition part of it. But they don't really understand what it takes to keep that standard or even achieve that level. What does consistency look like for you on the regular?
Consistency is I think it's the one thing that as chefs, we are constantly trying to achieve. Nowadays, I don't know. I mean, it's like you got to make the same dish 100 times over, right? And it has to be exactly the same, keeping that standard. The whole Michelin thing's interesting because I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but it is a secret shopper idea of a secret shopper that literally it has to be consistent every single time they come in. You never know who they are, type of scenario. So the mystique of it is really interesting. And it's just something we preach like to our team is you can be a great chef for one dish. Doesn't mean you're, that's great. But can you do that every single night? That's when you become great, I think.
If you go to your local wing joint, they're making, hundreds of dishes, same thing every night, but it's not upscale.
Right.
Service isn't where it's supposed to be. They're never going to attain any, accolade.
But there's something to be said when I go to Japan and I get a Big Mac. This Big Mac tastes like Big Mac back home, right? It brings you all of those feels, right? There's something to be said about building systems to that point. And now that I've got multiple restaurants underneath the belt, with our group, I hate hearing that. Oh, that's not the same when chef's not here. It's like, no, it should be better. I hope what it is, it should just be a better experience when I'm not there. Why? Because my guys are in there every day doing the dang thing. They're there every single day, pushing themselves to be better. They're in there, more, they're working with that product every single day, And so my job now, discipline and consistency, that's really my job, is to really motivate and push them to, get there.
Where are your locations right now?
So the restaurants we have now are mostly in Orlando, Winter Park. So we have Soseki that's been here for 5 years. We're just celebrating 5 years now. We have Sushi Saint, which is our hand roll tamaki kind of sushi lounge. We have downtown Orlando. We're opening the second location in a couple weeks in Winter Park, and then a third location also in Orlando, but closer to the I Drive, a little bit more of the tourist area. So we have those in Orlando. Pizza shop. Why am I doing pizzas? I love pizzas. I mean, why not? Sushi and pizza is great. We're not going to put it together. I promise you'll never see a sushi pizza coming out of my kitchen.
Amen.
But you might see a crab rangoon pizza. We get a little weird with the toppings there. But Perla's Pizza is a vinyl record pizza shop, and that opened, I have 3 restaurants that's right next to each other. So I love that commute, right? And the last restaurant that we have is based in New York. It's another Sushi Saint that's in Long Island City. Small 10-seat hand roll bar that we do there too.
So one of the other locations got a bib, right? A bib gourmand?
Right. So we opened, I think it was about 4 or 5 months after we opened the original Sushi Saint downtown Orlando. We just celebrated 2 years. We got a bib gourmand right off the gate, which was really amazing for the team. I mean, this was a bigger restaurant. When I say bigger restaurant, coming from 10 seats, I mean, anything's bigger. But this was about, 65, 70 seat restaurant and then doing the hand roll bar. So to get that with the team right off the gate was pretty amazing.
In terms of the feels, right? Optics. You get a 1-star Soseki. When you're talking about Sushi Saint, you're talking about a bib gourmand. Which one was more special? Or is it the same, or is it?
It's they're all special, right? Like we did not expect. Maybe we thought we'd get mentioned in a Michelin guide with Sushi Saint. This was a bigger restaurant where the award ceremony creeped up on us. I didn't think they'd have enough time to see us. Like we literally 4 or 5 months we were only open. I've heard of guys like they've only been open for 20 days and they get the Michelin star, which is really crazy because it's just crazy. The first one always hits different. I mean, that was like the 1-star, the getting into Michelin, I'm in the kitchen every day pushing with the team and everything like that. It definitely hit the hardest. But getting the bib gourmand for Sushi Saint was just incredible for us, for the team. Yeah.
I'm Fred Casagrande, barbecue champion, pitmaster, and founder of Smoking Beards. I'm French, based in the Middle East, but for the past 2 decades, my fire has traveled far beyond geography, on competition grounds or around open flames. Live fire cooking isn't a trend, it's discipline, it's technique. It's anchored in history, but it's evolving faster than ever. And around the world, there are people shaping that evolution. Pitmasters, chefs, builders, organizers, and quiet operators who are pushing the craft forward. This isn't about nostalgia. It's about where live fire is going and who's carrying it there. This is the Live Fire Report.
It's a good segue because you've spoken openly about burnout and rebuilding, right? And if you're talking about opening all these restaurants, you're doing consulting, like you're in Dubai, you're all over the country.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot. Looking back, would it stepping away from all of these different paths kind of teach you about the leader and chef who you are today?
These past couple of years have been interesting, opening up more restaurants, doing consulting. I just want to see what else is out there, right? Like as a chef, like I love chefs who are, they're in there every single day. They're grinding. They're behind the stove. I didn't know if this was going to be my goal in life. I wanted to set up restaurants. I wanted to continue. I think it's a great creative outlet. And it really becomes the business side of it, I'll tell you, is the part that I lack the most, I think. And a lot of chefs do. It's really easy for us to, as chefs, like rely on our own skill set to get things done. And when you're building multiple restaurants or consulting, doing all these things, your reliance on other people is huge, and realizing that like you're just being a cog in the machine of it all. That was very humbling.
Yeah, but isn't the whole thing about leadership? I mean, you start off one location, 10 seats. You have real control of that. You can very much direct, steer, be a part of every single decision. Restaurant 2, 3, 4 plus, consulting, etc. It puts it in a whole different place. So now your leadership abilities and your hiring of people who are going to maintain what you're doing, that's the key. How do you deal with that?
I'm still trying to deal with it. is a real answer. Man, it really is. Yeah. How do you, coming from a lot of chefs, let's be honest, if you're in fine dining, and not even in fine dining, man, if you're a chef, you're a little bit compulsive and you're a little bit more, you've got to be in there. Like you want your hands in everything. You're a little bit of a control freak, right? To some extent. And how do you find that release? How do you become a leader that can trust other people? Right? How do you walk away from, you'll catch me spinning records or flipping pizzas at the pizza spot. Well, I got my guys doing, taking care of the pizza of the baby, the Michelin-star restaurant, whatever you want to call it. It's and how do you kind of release that? and I'm still learning this, man, just being a good leader, right? Being a good person, being someone that they can, which is a completely different skill set than being a great chef, like I always say, but realizing too that like, I hope that, yes, my name's on, connected to it and it's there, but that Soseki could live on without Chef Michael Calantis or whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't need that ego kick of saying, hey man, this is my food and this is, and it doesn't fulfill that desire in my life.
I can attest to that. And the story that I have about meeting you is, we were in at the NAFM show a couple of years back. You're kind of a bohemian sort of guy, like you're carefree, but you're on point. So here's the thing. I was about 30 feet away and I look over and I am a hawk on the gear, right? Because you never know, things have legs, things disappear, right? And I noticed that there's these two dudes, like, just like kind of looking at the stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So I kind of will go over there and I'm, and you're real casual, right? You're dressed like ultra casual. And I'm like, hey, can I help you? And they go, oh man, I'm just checking out your gear. This is really cool stuff. We do a podcast too. I was like, oh, okay. Talk about it. And then you're like, well, I'm a chef. And I was like, oh, okay. It all made sense. But it was like, I was like, are these guys trying to, gotta watch the gear, man. Watch the gear,
Yeah, that was fun. That was a couple years ago when we met. I remember now we were invited to that show with Dry Ager because I was doing I was one of the few chefs at that time doing dry aging at the restaurants, and so I brought out my media guy. I was like, hey, let's talk about this. Like we actually brought the fish for them. We bought the fish so that they could dry age it. It was still pretty new. I mean, it's still new now, but a lot of chefs are on it now. And then I saw you guys and I was like, oh man, let's scope out their gear and what they're using and stuff. Like, I don't know. I geek out about all those things. Like, if I'm interested in something, like if I'm interested in pizzas or I'm interested in opening this type of restaurant, like we're going to go hard to the paint. We're going to like, all right, what hydration level are we using on the dough? What's, all right, let's line up 10 different cases of cheese and see which one we want to use and all this stuff and tomatoes. And so like anything that I do, I find so much joy in like those minuscule things. Cause I think that's what separates good to great, right? Like the in-betweens.
I'll speak for John. We nerd out on the gear also. In fact, John and I know each other a million years. Did you ever expect that I would be doing any of these things, John? Like literally equipment, the soundboards, cameras, video, like all this stuff to learn it. Not that I'm the best. I promise I'm not claiming any of that. But like I can turn this stuff on and use it. Ever expect that? No. John doesn't talk, by the way, everybody. So
well, today you're filming with John a lot of it, and it's like that was not the case a couple years ago. Not at all.
Well, listen, the economy, I told you briefly what this was. And ultimately, we started with video and we came out of the gate real strong. We started with video and we came out of the gate real strong. That was back in 2020. 2022 comes and the economy's starting to turn on its head. The marketing dollars are starting to shrink. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, we got to do a serious pivot here because this is not going to be sustainable. So we looked at podcasting. I saw that there was like a lot of space there, even in a niche, quasi-saturated market like food. Who's going to do better than us with relationships? I've been in the business 35 years, John. I know thousands. I've worked with thousands of chefs, man. Like I figure I can probably round up some personnel, some talent. Anyway, long story short, we jump in and right away it took off. And within a year, we hit 1 million downloads and, started ranking on Apple. Today, we're probably 5 million downloads. Been in the top 200 of all podcasts on Apple. It's a whole weird thing, man. I don't believe it.
Well, it goes back to like, you guys stay consistent with it, right? You guys just kept doing it, staying consistent. And, we started a podcast around that same time too, but I was like, I'm not doing this. This is not sustainable for me to do I'll do service until 11 o'clock and then we'll go jump in the podcast room. We're like, this is awful. Yeah. So it was like, staying consistent with that, I think made the huge, such a big difference. But, Yeah, man. I mean, we've been checking out your stuff for a while.
The fact that you understand how this operates makes all of this much easier because you've done it. So not only are you hands-on in the kitchen, elevated, you're hitting some major strides in your life, but then you also understand how the gear works.
Yeah.
You know what kind of synergy that is? That's a real awesome thing. And that's why we started talking about it. It makes sense for you to plug in.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been wanting to get back into it now that like the life is, the kids are growing up a little bit, the restaurants are staining, and so like I've wanted to jump into this with the right people. It's just like there was no way I was going to do this on my own like the first time. So this was like I was like, man, we reconnected at the show, and I was like, this would be really cool to do. Not that I need another hobby or another restaurant or another thing in my life. If you ask my wife, she'll say, you're crazy. But, this is my outlet too, right? Like getting to talk to chefs, getting to talk to shops in a different way too. I'm a much different chef I was 5 years ago, where I was so engaged and I'm on the line every single night. And I'm not afraid to say it. A lot of chefs are afraid to say it or not. I'm not on the line every single night at the restaurant. I'm at home with the kids, and I'm enjoying that part of my life that like I think we need to celebrate that as people in our industry too, that I bring my kids to school every morning, and I love that, and immediately I'm still going back to a restaurant right afterwards, but that's it is what it is, and you just take those in between moments that you get.
But I think your viewpoint on this and your personality it fits. It's the right cut in order to you put the grind in, you built up this business, you got the Michelin and the bib, and all of a sudden now you're bringing up a new generation. You're able to step away, pick your head up above the weeds, direct the thing, instill all of this knowledge and experience into new people, and you get to enjoy some of your life. That's beautiful. I think that's how it should be. Support for Walk and Talk Media comes from Crab Island Seafood Dip, creating chef-driven crab dips made with real seafood and bold flavor. Learn more at crabislandseafooddip.com.
I think we have to celebrate that more and talk about that more because, especially in fine dining circles, it's like, you've got to be in the grind every single day. And I respect that. And I'm not claiming that I'm not there or I am there or what have you, but I want to enjoy this life, right? Like what we're building this all for, if you're not enjoying it. And a lot of chefs that I hire, they just want to grind. They want to be in there 80 hours a week. They want to be there 7 days. And I love it. Like that's like, let me give you a platform to do that, right? I never want to be someone I always say ego's a dream killer. I never want to be someone that says, hey, this is my restaurant. This is what we're doing. It's like, no, man, I'm fortunate that we continue to build good teams. Now to get to this point was a lot of, successes and failures and heartache and closing restaurants and being stressed out about money and finances, all those things that you fight for. It's a different fight of just being a chef to being a restaurateur and owner for sure, but worth it.
You're getting into the topic of art versus business. There's a constant tension between that. If you're looking at, hey, I'm a chef and I want to be creative. And then you're like, well, creative is great, but I got to pay the mortgage. It's a tightrope. And how are you personally navigating that balance without losing your soul?
Not well. No, I think, how am I balancing it? Having a great wife that understands, a great life partner, I think is huge. In it. And she's also in the business too. Like she's doing I always say, to be successful as a restaurateur or business, you need someone who is in the grind, doing the operations, which we have a lot of amazing people. You need someone on the back end that's watching your back, that has, that's what she does is where's some money going and operations and the wheels are on the bus and all of those things. And then you also need someone who is the mouthpiece that's going to like scream from the top of lungs of what amazing things you're doing at your restaurant and your operations. And a lot of that is me. Like I truly believe we're doing some great things, and we don't get it right all the time, and we're going to step on toes, and we're going to make some people uncomfortable and unhappy and stuff like that. And I get that. But the bigger picture is to, slowly take care of people in that way. But that's not to say, man, this, like I had a great chef. He passed away last year, Chef CJ. He was our first chef de cuisine. When I talk about, he's been to like 100+ countries backpacking. He's worked for, worked and staged in over 200, 250 different restaurants, mostly Michelin. And he has this criteria that he goes after. When we opened Soseki, he was the guy that I said, man, we're in the middle of COVID. Come join our group. We don't know what the hell we're doing. We don't know what we're doing, but we know this is going to be, all the things that you're looking for. And he says flat out, I'm going to be there for a year, not a day more, and I'm off and I go wherever around the world. And then he never, returns back. So he's worked, we worked together in Vegas. He was at Guy Savoy. He was at Alinea. He was at El Toro. He was at Le Bernardin. He was a amazing chef. And he looks, I can't believe he looks younger than me, but, he recently, last year passed away, and he lived his life the way he wanted, and the way he wanted to be a chef was he's going to be the first one in, he's going to be the last one out. He's going to work 7 days a week. He's just all about pure passion of, being a chef, and then for me, I always knew I wanted the business side. I wanted to understand that side of it. So, two different paths for sure.
What was the relationship there?
He was a chef de cuisine, opening chef de cuisine for Soseki. He's been a friend. We got into it. Like we he didn't understand the business side, but then I didn't, there's so many things where he was just he is going to be a rock that you will impenetrate. He will not move on certain things. And I knew hiring him, getting him in, setting the standard for Soseki, you got to bow to that. We all had to, back then, year one, push to be on this level or not. And he set the standard for Soseki to where it is now. Yeah.
Well, clearly, sorry for that loss. That's, it's terrible when those things happen. And it's also possible that could be a motivator as well. Because, when you have people that are special to you in situations like this, these are life-altering. What you're doing is life-changing, life-altering. And having any sort of, friend, a confidant, whatever, that helps you get there, something like that is devastating. And it either destroys you or it propels you.
Right. And what he did was Soseki in itself, it's Japanese. That means foundation, cornerstone. It was, and he really, we have his picture up there on our wall and everything. He really set that standard for us. And now it's a reminder every day to live up to that, with the other chefs. And it is a little bit of those, when old chefs, I can't believe I'm the old chef in the room now. It's like, well, this is how we did things and and all of that. But it's important to share those stories and where, the level where this industry is going and where it was and stuff like that. I think it's important that they hear it.
Well, that leads into family, faith, and responsibility. And those are the anchors, I think, that kind of push us in a direction. You weren't always so put together and organized.
I was not always put together and organized. If you ask my wife, I'm still not organized and put together. Even ask my team, though. I'll change my mind on a dime. It's like, how come we didn't do this, chef? We decided that wasn't the right move. You said that last week. I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. But man, I grew up, it was a very interesting time in the early 2000s being a chef. I think Food Network was really getting on the rise, and this whole celebrity chef thing was really becoming big. Top Chef and all those things. And I didn't realize, getting into culinary where I really wanted to be. But the moment I stepped into a Michelin-star restaurant, as soon as I joined Robuchon and spent, my time there, it was boot camp from the beginning. It was old school. They only spoke in French. In the beginning, it was, basically French the whole time when during service. They want you to engage in the culture that set them up, right? But also, it was rough and tough in the sense of like you're always not enough hours in the day, so much to do, the pressure's on. I always say it was the hardest and most difficult time in my life, but when you look back, I'm like, that shaped and defined who I was. But that also made me into a maniac. I'll just be honest. Not just there, just in general of chasing perfection, whatever that is, or chasing fine dining. And not every chef turns out this way, but I became just not a good person in the kitchen, right? Very egotistical, no, this is how it's going to be, and we're all going to, fall in line. And everyone has a life outside of this kitchen. And even if they say they're 100% in, life, there's things in life that you get thrown at that you can't, and that means more to you than cut chives and fish on a plate, man. I'll just be honest. But in those moments, we want excellence. We want to pursue that, we want those accolades or what have you. But it's definitely later in life realizing, there's so much more to life, especially when you have kids and you have all these other things, to look back on. Like, I never wanted to be a man that looked back and said, "Where was daddy?" That was always my fear.
Well, it takes a lot to go from debauchery, out of work, maniacal, in work. What was your factor? Was it your wife? Was it your faith? What put you in the correct frame of mind?
Oh, yeah. So what kind of took me out of that was, I'd say, my faith. I mean, I don't talk about this publicly much, but yeah, I grew up Catholic and all that stuff. But it came to a point I was super burnt out and just on way too many drugs than I should be. I was in my 20s. I mean, no one should be on drugs, but you know what I mean.
Partners of Walk and Talk Media include Aussie Select, providing fully cooked premium Australian lamb trusted by chefs for quality and consistency. Learn more at aussieselect.com.
Just super out there in the world. And the moment that, I always felt like there was something missing in my life. It just so happened that I met this wonderful girl that, like, I drunkenly asked. I said, "Hey, you go to church? Maybe you could take me there one day." And that kind of set me on a path of like, wow, there's so much more to live for than what I thought. And it just felt like this heaviness fell off me, and that kind of started bring me back to church and to God. And I think that really brought this foundation of like, just wanting to be a better person. And how do you still pursue excellence and do these things and still have standards and still push people and still do it in a way that you could, you're not selling your soul out, right? And you could still talk to them like human beings, and you could have a beer afterwards, and you guys can, I didn't understand that before. And I'm still at this point in my faith walk or life that well, you're a Christian. No, it's like I'm broken and I needed something to anchor me. And my faith anchors me to just try to be better, right? And it'll take a lifetime to get there, which is okay. Yeah.
A moment ago, you were talking about the kitchens you were in, and you had to speak in French, and it was all traditional, brigade, the whole thing. Do you think there's a misunderstanding on global food perspectives by U.S. chefs?
Now I don't think so, but I do think the moment I was able to stop cooking and travel, your mind is open to culture and cuisine and how other people live their life, and I think that really shaped a lot of how I'm cooking today, or who I am today in general. But, God, the internet makes it such an interesting place for chefs to, just talking back to, my opening team at Soseki, one of the chefs there never cooked a day in his life before he joined us about a year before. and ended up being the chef de cuisine and running the show after, 4 years of being with Soseki. This time of being a chef, the access you have to stages, to see what people are doing in Japan, to see, to everything. I think it's a different time and place that gives a more global experience. But I would never say that's something that you should like, hey, I can cook Japanese because I watch all these videos about Japan and all this stuff, and I basically know, and you might be cooking just as good, but there's something to get your hands in and get your hands dirty in the culture and travel and see it. Right.
So does that mean right now you get more excited about shaping people in the restaurant, or is it you still get the creativity bug? Which one are you leaning towards more?
Now in my career and where I'm at, I get more excited to see other people succeed. I get more excited to see the direction of where Soseki is with this new team, and knowing that the tea service is done by one of our, just one of our servers who's been with us for a while, but she's decided to like, I'm going to do this tea service, and there's this banana tea that my family used to make, and now it's at a Michelin-star restaurant. She gets to say that, or that their identity is now in Soseki for the season, from the service and the beverage to the sushi to our chef that's from that's trained in Spain at Michelin-star restaurant in Spain. And did I ever think I'd have jamon iberico on the menu? But thank God he did, because it's amazing. It's amazing to see that connection, and then how do you foster that? That's what's really exciting about, I guess, my path right now.
10 years ago, would you have thought the star is more important, or shaping the future generation?
Shaping future generation or Michelin star 10 years ago, 100% more important, Michelin star. And I didn't care who, what, how, I wanted it. And I hate to say that, because it's just like, why are you, for a moment that you're 15 minutes on stage,
So you're going through this whole butterfly effect, right? You go into this thing as a caterpillar. You chase the star, you chase all the stuff. Your life is crazy. Like you said, maniac, all this stuff. You get the star, but now you've blossomed. You've shed that. You've turned into a whole nother creature. Don't you need to go through that to kind of get to this sage part of your life?
I hope most people don't have to go through that. I hope most people have more sensibility to say, hey, I'm just going in there to cook. And yeah, a lot of chefs, Michelin star means nothing to them. James Beard means nothing to them. And I get that, it's just something I wanted out of my career, my life, as a young chef. Once I got that bug of like what it meant to be in that pedigree or circle or whatever it is. And I would say like one of the greatest moments of winning the Michelin star is like getting that text message the next day from my chefs that said, hey, now it's your turn. And from, my chef from France, and he's like, now it's your turn, now to do what we taught you to do. And that was like, that was the moment for me that made it. Not so much the, being on stage and all that, but do you have to go through all those things? I hope not. I think the generation now, there's smarter ways to get at it. I think also there's different ways to have this emotional connection to food and feeling and all this stuff that's not restaurant focused too, which is so interesting. Like chefs who are there's so many chefs who just go straight into private dining. There's so many chefs that go straight into like, I'm just going to cook out of my house and do pop-ups and they're making waves with what they're doing. But there's something to be said about a chef who's just, whether you're at a Wingstop or Michelin-star restaurant where you're day in, day out grinding. Yeah.
I feel like you have to do the grind. I feel like you have to put in your time. You have to take your whippings or lashings or whatever. You have to eat the proverbial, cow dung. You have to do that in order to respect whatever it is that you achieve. And, a lot of chefs, a lot of people they'll die on one hill or the other, and they'll say, oh, Michelin, boo on Michelin, and other chefs, they want to chase it down and spear it. And, and I'm kind of like in the middle of this, because I can see where, the establishment, it's, oh, Michelin, and you're like, you know what, I want to be the anti-establishment. Okay, I get it. But then if it were me and I was in the kitchen, not necessarily to be saying, hey, look at me, I got a Michelin. It's more along the lines of, this is the standard. Like, you don't get this if you're doing everything wrong. The fact is, in order to get that, put all the political stuff aside, right? And how the operation of Michelin is. Walk and Talk Media is proudly supported by Rack Porcelain USA, creating durable, beautifully designed tableware for chefs and hospitality professionals. Learn more at rackporcelain.com. 4 out of 5 hospitality professionals have faced at least one mental health challenge during their career. Stress, burnout, anxiety. These are everyday realities in kitchens, dining rooms, and bars across North America. The Burnt Chef Project North America is here to change that. They provide free, anonymous support, direct care, training, and self-care resources designed specifically for chefs, servers, and hospitality staff. From therapy services to educational modules, they're answering the call for help in one of the toughest industries. It can't be done alone. Your financial support makes this possible, ensuring that every hospitality professional has access to the tools they need to thrive. Join the movement in breaking the stigma. Email uscanada@theburntchefproject.com for donation details and mailing information, or learn more about the mission at theburntchefproject.com. It's a standard, and if you don't meet the standard, you don't get it. So for me, I think that's great. Go for that. That's what it should be.
I agree. I mean, it's I always right. The sweet is never sweet without the bitter. I love that quote, because it really is. You got to go through some valleys to get to the mountains, right? And you have to see, like, you will not see the journey that you've taken if you're not in the valley and then you're at the mountaintop and all that it took to get there. I just hope now, even in this generation, it's that journey's different in a way, but I hope they still want that. Like, it's hard, and I'm not saying that the culture, the generational differences, but it's we had guys in our career lives and that time in life of cooking where it was I'd say it was at the tail end of that rough and tough Gordon Ramsay, right? But you had other guys pushing for you to be that successful. We're here now. I'm not pushing for them to be successful, but it's not that same push. There's not that intensity. That intensity, that pressure built diamonds, man. And when I go back and look at the alumni of the places I worked, and he has a Michelin star, he's James Beard Award winner. He's got his own place, a chateau in France that he's crushing it in. It's like that pressure built some monsters.
What's the saying? Steel sharpens steel.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens. Is it iron? Is it steel or iron? Is it both? I don't know.
Technically both. Yeah.
Technically both. You need that. Ultimately, you need to have that pressure. I don't think it should be pressure where it affects you to where you're making bad decisions on your health and your safety, mentally, physically, or otherwise. But like, if you don't have the resistance, like, it's the same as being in the gym. If you're not using resistance, you're not going to get stronger.
You get that in every restaurant group, right? In every restaurant, even 3 Michelin-star restaurant, there is a group of guys who just want to push each other to the absolute limits. And no, I'm staying longer. I'm going to push longer. I'm going to rock out longer than you. And then there's guys who are just like, hey man, I mean, be honest. We have guys too that just want to come in, I worked at Soseki, I worked here, and put that on the resume, and 1 year later they're out the door. And what did they learn from their experience? Not much, but they get to say, hey, I've collected here's my stamp card, and I've collected another Michelin-star restaurant. And there's both sides of it.
But that's okay.
That's okay.
It's that's part of the it's part of the
business
environment of this whole thing. And that's how people get their experiences anyhow. That's all right. That wouldn't bother me so much, as long as they're upfront. If somebody tells you, hey, I'm into this, I'm in it for the long, but then they dip and leave you hanging, that's not cool.
But you get to see, you know, kind of iron sharpens iron, right? You gravitate to the ones who you could just tell really want it. And I always say skill set isn't everything. Like, I'd much have rather guys who don't have the skill set, struggling with it, but man, their desire trumps everything else, right? Their desire to learn, their desire to be better, their desire to push, right? And you, as a chef now, look, you recognize that, and then you pour into those guys. And there's guys who are just going to be top performers, whether you push them or motivate them, they're just going to perform at an even keel level. And which are the ones that you're gonna you spend the most time with? That's I think one of the hardest things now is
in today's world where everything is social media and cameras and microphones. How important is storytelling to chefs and the restaurant industry at large?
Storytelling now is, I'm sorry, it's everything. More important than food, the service. I mean, and I don't say that just the storytelling part. I'd say the community building. Restaurants on their own cannot. I'm sorry, we cannot survive. How many sushi places are there? How many pizza spots are there? It's like you're one of hundreds. When people have the opportunity to dine anywhere, and 5 years ago, Orlando was so different than where it is now. There's just so much amazing chefs and restaurants and opportunity in that. But it also what makes you stand out from the rest. The Michelin star, but there's amazing restaurants that just build great communities that tell a great story that gets people in the door because that's generally who they are. And I think that's amazing.
I think that's why we exist here at Walk and Talk, because we fell into, I don't want to say fell into it. We worked our asses off to get to where we are now. And at the end of the day, I feel like we're in this space that it's not about John or me or Pooch. It's about the guest. It's about the chef that comes in, or the farmer that comes on, or the food safety, scientist that comes on the show. It's about them and their story. Because frankly, who wants to hear about, two old guys? I mean, maybe they're a little bit, but at the end of the day, no, it's about you when you're here. And it's especially, I like to either get somebody on who's accomplished or somebody just starting out, because those are the most, viral conversations you can have. Why? Because if you're just starting out, you're going to say dumb stuff. The conversation's going to be great. When you're older, you've been through it. You've accomplished some things. You already know the dumb stuff. But now we're like, okay, I did all these dumb things. I put in all this hard work. But now look at me. Look what can happen. Look what you can achieve. I don't know. For me, it's I really look at this as a parallel. Like what we do at the show and on the show, it's so much similar to having a restaurant. It really is a major parallel. And the work you put in is what you get back out of it. And, the 60, 70, 80 hours a week that we all put in, Pooch, John, me, with the stuff that we're doing, it's insane. But damn, it works. I mean, if it's entertaining, obviously, but, if it works when you put it in.
Yeah, and I think it's also like, you got to find the joy in the small things that make the big things worthwhile, right? So the small things that you're doing to increase production level and value of, content is the same thing. Like, no one's going to notice this. If we, is everyone really going to notice this? That we did this, we did that. But like, all the little small things that make the whole production great. Because we kind of say that, which Soseki is, it's a show. Like, we have 10 guests are in for an hour and 45 minutes. We have this much time to make them feel as special as possible. Let's not screw the Pooch.
Not our Pooch either.
Yeah, exactly.
Not our Pooch. Right. John and I have been in situations where, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and we're looking at some editorial stuff and, we're like, oh man, we can totally skip this. We can absolutely skip whatever that thing was. And then he'll look at me and then, and I'm like, what do you think? He's like, oh man, no, we got to do it. And I'm like, damn it. All right, let's do it. It's another 2 hours of work. Do you know what I mean? But it pays off in the end. It pays off in the production value, man. It's like, you have to do it.
I think in life, it always pays off. I mean, talking as the old man in the room, I guess, it always pays off. It always pays off to go do the extra mile, to go that further. Not just for other people and the guests, but for yourself, right? And like, you're the worst place anyone could be, especially in our industry, is being like in this culinary industry or chef or hospitality. The worst place they could be is like in a place where it's just a job, because I would tell people there's a lot of great things you could do in life that will pay you more. You don't have to listen to a short, angry Asian man tell you what to do. And, you could have an easier life. Like, understand what you're getting into and enjoy it, because we enjoy it every single day. Like we geek out about like how well a service goes, or how flawless this was, or how beautiful this dish is. Like, we still love it. Like, that passion has to be there. It's like, don't do it at all, man.
When you think about the next chapter, where you're headed, where you're going, I mean, you're kind of stepping out of the restaurant role on the line. You're getting into consulting. You're doing all this stuff. Now we're talking about storytelling and collaborations. Where do you see all of that headed?
Well, hopefully I see it heading with you guys, honestly. I mean, I love this part of it, because we don't get to, pretty dish on the plate. There's so many stories. There's so many people that but to thank, or to have their stories heard. That it's great to like this, what you guys are doing, and interviewing chefs and people in our industry who wouldn't have a platform. I also think it's somewhat therapeutic to talk this stuff out too, honestly. Like, there's a lot of stuff I just unraveled in this one conversation. I think it's so meaningful for chefs to have this retrospect, right? We don't do it enough. Not just chefs, just in general, to look back at their life and their career and pinpoint some things and how they got to this level of where they're at. The consulting stuff and all that's fantastic, but I love this storytelling. I love, I think I have a lot to say, but also like, I just want to be a fly on the wall, man, and listen.
When we spoke on the phone last week, the idea was your story arc. What is it going to be? I mean, you have a pretty crazy life. And to go from, Sbarro's to Michelin, I think people want to hear about that. So I think the genesis of what we're all going to do together, and that leads into the therapy of things, if you will. Because I think when people hear how your life kind of went, the path, they're going to go, oh man, I'm on that same path. And I think it's going to help people ultimately.
I hope so. I hope, people can relate to things. And I'm excited to interview other chefs and other people in the industry that have gone through certain things and chosen the different path than us. And, there's so many things that correlate and parallel, but if anything I do in life at this point, which is so weird, but I can mentor and lead my team in a better way, become a better chef, become a better father, spouse. I think that's what gets me excited about what's that next thing for me. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to get, Pooch here, get us all together. I mean, I have a feeling those conversations are going to be pretty ridiculous in a good way.
I need a cool name like Pooch, though. We got to think of something.
Well, he'll tell you. Loyal like a dog. That's a Louisiana thing. All right. Well, listen, man, I had a blast today. Freaking great time. How do people find you?
Yes, you could check me out on MikeCalantis.com is the main way. Instagram, Chef Mike Calantis. That's pretty much it, yeah. And TikTok, Chef Flip Mike.
Heard that. Now, did you see this guy's photography or what?
Oh my gosh, man, it's insane.
Unedited. What you saw was raw from the camera.
It was 5 minutes after I gave you the plate, and it looks amazing. I can't wait to see the final edits.
Oh my God. John, you got to stop with this. By the way, University of Miami, go Canes, baby. Ole Miss, what are you? You're missing. You're going to miss. All right, man. Brother, Appreciate you. Appreciate your stew as well. Guy did a banger today.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. All right, baby, we are out. This session of Walk and Talk Media is made possible by Citrus America, delivering fresh Florida citrus and juice solutions to food service professionals nationwide. Learn more at citrusamerica.com.